Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again today. Today I'm gonna show you guys how to make an awesome pork chop with tomatoes. This is the type of dish that my mom made for me when I was a kid. You can find this in Chinese restaurants as well, but my mom likes to cook this because I don't eat a lot of vegetables when I was a kid. So putting tomatoes with some kind of meat is just one way for me to eat my vegetables. But this one might be my last video cooking outside here because it's a little bit difficult. It is a little bit dark during certain times of the day, of course, right? And sometimes there's just so many distractions here. You think that it's very quiet here, but it's sort of not. There are birds. There are butterflies flying all over the place. Motorcycle, can you hear that? Can you hear the motorcycle, right? All right, so I'm gonna show you one reason why I really regret having an outdoor kitchen. Look at that. Look at that spider. Ah, Baxter, leave it alone. No, Baxter. There's one reason why it's always good to have a cat around, because they got balls of steel. Not like me, I got balls of tofu. Yeah, I can't stand spiders. Another reason is that I might be starting a cooking school. So that's gotta be indoors, right? And when I can cook indoors, I can control the environment much better, produce better videos, make more videos, because if you notice my schedule, I make like one video a month, which is not good because this area is actually a little bit far from where I actually live. And I just want to make this announcement because, you know, people will notice that, you know, hey, why did I go back to an indoor kitchen and whatnot? But anyways, that's what's happening. So let's get to the recipe. Okay, so right here I've got 400 grams of pork. Now I know that this title says pork chop, and it was supposed to be pork chop, but what happens is when I go to these wet dry markets to buy cuts of pork, they don't cut them into like slices of how many pieces I want. They'll cut into one large chunk, and the thing is that the chunks that they cut for me, they're odd sizes. So I had to cut them down to the size that you see here, but it doesn't matter, okay? We'll just refer to it as a pork chop. Just bear with me, okay? It's still gonna be awesome. It's still gonna taste really good. So I'm just going to tenderize the pork with the back of my knife. Yeah, I wish that my butcher is more cooperative, but you know, he's not. I think he hates me for some reason. I don't know what, but whatever. When life gives you not what you want, you make something else, right? All right, once that's done, we take the pork and we're gonna marinate this. 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce. 1 tablespoon of Chinese rice wine. And just a teaspoon of dark soy sauce for color. And about a teaspoon of sugar. About half a teaspoon of ground white pepper. And half a tablespoon of cornstarch. And then we give this a mix for now. And you know it's mixed well where you don't see like a large pool of liquid on the bottom of the bowl, okay? So, and add 2 teaspoons of cooking oil and just give it another mix, and then refrigerate it for 15 minutes. And we also need 1 tomato. This is about 200 grams. A nice big tomato. Just cut these up into however you want. So we got some tomatoes and then about 60 grams of onions. You don't need too much onions. Not only do you have the acidity of the tomatoes, but you also have the sweetness of the onions, right? So these two, they're just a killer combination for a pork dish. So I'm just gonna keep the tomato and the onions together. I'm just gonna use 3 cloves of garlic. You can use more if you wish. Totally up to you. It's your home, your meal. Do whatever makes you happy. These garlics are kind of small. I'm gonna sneak in 1 more garlic. And we don't need to cut these too thin. Just like that's good enough. Oh, and finally, of course, we have to have some spring onions. This goes in at the end. Okay, so time to make the sauce. we need about 2 teaspoons of ketchup. I always have tomato ketchup lying around because I mentioned before, whenever you order pizzas in Thailand, they always give you enough ketchup to open up a McDonald's. So I'm just gonna use 2 teaspoons. I think about 3 packets should be enough. Yeah. So when my mom made this dish for me as a kid, she didn't use ketchup, but I'm using it because I just think that it adds another extra depth of flavors to this dish. So, can never hurt. And I think my mom will be okay with it. Need about a teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, 2 teaspoons of light soy sauce, about 2 teaspoons of cornstarch or corn flour. It's named differently depending on which country that you're living in, but cornstarch, corn flour, same thing. And finally, we top it up with about 3/4 cup of water. And we just mix it up. And we start off with frying the pork first. So when the wok starts to smoke, you know the drill. We're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil. And I'm just gonna wait until the wok gets super hot, then start dropping in the pork. You wanna put a really good sear on the pork. And that means once you drop it onto the wok, you don't move it around, okay? You let the heat do the work. Let it put some color onto the pork. So whenever you cook meat like this first, the whole point of it is to not to cook the meat through, okay? You're just going to put some color onto the meat. You know, there's really nice brown color on the outside of the meat. That's all you're planning to do right here. Not cook it through, not cook it 100% through, because we're gonna finish that later on when we make the sauce, combined with the vegetables. Okay, that's it. So I'm just going to remove the meat and set it aside. I'm going to say that this meat is about 80% done. By the way, when I mentioned about the color of the meat, look, check it out. You won't be able to do this if you dropped in too many ingredients into the pan, okay? But what's going to happen is you can steam it. But this has a nice outer coating, and it can only be achieved if you're cooking it on its own. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a different pan. Heat the pan on a medium-high heat. When the pan smokes, add 2 tablespoons of oil. Then drop in the tomatoes and the onions and let it cook until the onions shrink and start to turn clear. When that happens, drop in the garlic and then cook and stir everything for about 30 seconds. And then we drop in the sauce and cook the sauce until it boils. It's gonna turn slightly thick, not really thick like a sweet and sour sauce, because we only added in a little bit of cornstarch. Another 30 seconds later, drop in the pork. And we just let that pork cook in the liquid. And I'm just going to lower the flames to a low medium. And we're just going to cook all of this for about another minute to a minute and a half, just to make sure that the pork is cooked through. Final ingredient, just some spring onions. And we just cook this for another 15 seconds and that's it. And here it is. This is one of my childhood favorite dishes. This is one of those dishes that is like pure Cantonese home style cooking. My mom made this, my friends' moms made this, and I know that a lot of people, they don't cook today maybe because they don't know how to, and they forgot how their mom or dad made it, and they're Cantonese. But it doesn't matter, as long as you guys keep cooking, keep making these type of recipes, these recipes will never ever go away. So please give this one a try. But like always, I do make deliveries. I take Bitcoins and Camels as payment. I'll see you guys on next time, okay? Take care, bye.
I miss you, buddy. Okay? Come back, bring you back some treats, okay? But I tell you what, I am gonna miss little Baxter, my little protector. Thanks, Baxter. Thanks for looking out for me, okay, buddy? I'm gonna miss you.